Hey, how's it going everyone? It's me, it's Count here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. Today we're going to be talking about the new Pokestop features that were implemented into this game, and I will be sharing some of my thoughts regarding this mechanic. Is it actually beneficial for Pokemon Go players? Is it something that players have been needing for a long time? Or is this yet another misstep from Niantic? These are the things I'm going to be talking about in today's video, so let's roll the intro and jump right into it. Alrighty, so let me start this video off by giving you my initial impressions regarding this new feature. So the advanced Pokestop feature has just been implemented, and it allows us to use AR mapping tasks to level up Pokestops and get them to much higher levels, which will award you with newer items and a lot of different bonuses if you are able to get it to a higher level. Now my initial thought here is that this is going to be really awesome for rural players, especially because a lot of players who live in very low populated areas are not going to see a whole bunch of Pokestops to begin with, so for them to be able to upgrade those Pokestops in order to collect more items from them, that could be beneficial all around. But then I realized that the way that you get these Pokestops to level up is specifically through AR mapping tasks, and if you did not know, this has been one of those things that has generated a lot of backlash for Niantic, and I do not agree with how Niantic has handled that backlash. I'm actually someone who actively does AR mapping tasks, mainly because I frequently use Poffins, and I really do think that AR mapping tasks can lead to some very unique gameplay. But let's be real here, Niantic is putting a lot of their faith on AR mapping being the future of Pokemon Go, but I do not necessarily think the Pokemon Go community agrees with that. It's very clear and evident that they have a very specific vision for the future of this game and how it's supposed to be played. But to be honest with you, I don't know a single player that actually uses AR mapping or any kind of AR tools rather in the way that Niantic thinks that players should be doing them. I mean, sure, you can get some really cool shots of your Pokemon through the AR tools in this game, but in general, AR mapping is not necessarily going to lead to anything special because a lot of players do not necessarily care about AR. And on top of that, there's this whole thing about free labor. I think that's something that comes up quite a lot when it comes to AR mapping. I think a lot of players are really unhappy at the idea of being the free labor for Niantic, doing all of the tasks that they feel Niantic should be doing themselves. And I totally understand that, although I will say that because you are able to get premium items from AR mapping tasks, it's not necessarily 100% true that it is free labor, especially because if you think about it, AR mapping is not something that's going to be reliably done by any particular player. I know a lot of people who just put the phone camera on their legs when they go to a Pokestop because they do not want to look silly just walking around holding their phone in all different directions, and I totally understand that because I myself have done plenty of AR mapping tasks and I'm pretty sure I've looked really ridiculous or even kind of stalkerish. So yeah, I mentioned earlier that Niantic has not handled the backlash to AR mapping really well, and that is really because all they've done is doubled down and they've kind of ignored the backlash instead of listening to that feedback. They really need to take a step back and pay attention to what the community thinks about AR in general, because I really feel like they're dedicating way too many resources to this future mechanic, and they're gearing a lot of the incentives for AR mapping tasks to try and get players to be active with them, and I do think they've been kind of failing in this front. Not everyone is going to care about Poffins like myself. A lot of people do not necessarily care about getting as many best buddies as they possibly can, and most players generally do not feel like AR mapping is something that they're interested in. So for them to tie the leveling up of Pokestops specifically only to AR mapping, yeah, that's going to rub a lot of players the wrong way because they are not interested in doing these tasks, and the only way for them to get additional items from Pokestops is to be forced to do these sort of tasks. I I think that's a huge misstep. So what exactly could Niantic do to remedy this situation? Well, I do like the idea of AR mapping tasks speeding up the leveling of a Pokéstop. Like if you do an AR mapping task for that particular Pokéstop, you can get a higher level of points than you would have done by doing any other task. And when I speak about any other tasks, I think about a lot of other things that players would be interested in doing, like luring up that Pokéstop, or let's say they were to catch a certain number of Pokemon within a short distance of that Pokéstop. Something like that would have been way more interesting than just having people forced to do AR mapping tasks, because this is once again going to be perceived by Pokemon Go players as Niantic asking their community to do the work that the community feels like Niantic should be doing themselves. So yeah, I really do not know exactly how to feel about this, because on the one hand, I am really excited and hyped up for these new Pokéstop features, because again, I do think it will help out a lot of players in rural areas. But at the same time, the way Niantic executed this new feature is very lackluster, and there's just a lot of things missing. And I do think that the potential is there for this to be even better than it currently is. It's just unfortunate because it doesn't seem like Niantic sees that potential, and they are completely missing the mark. And for crying out loud, I really do think Niantic needs to reconsider just putting a lot of their chips into the AR bucket, because a lot of players are not interested in AR, and I don't think AR is what's going to drive new players to start playing Pokemon Go as well. I mean, I'm all for them trying to push new technologies and new experiences, but I just don't think that Pokemon Go is designed with AR in mind, because yeah, for a lot of players, AR is an afterthought. But who knows, maybe I'm perceiving this completely wrong. Maybe there is a huge market for AR gameplay and we're just not seeing it because we play it a certain way. But we'll just have to wait and see, because there's certain Pokemon that I predict will be featured alongside new AR mapping stuff, like especially Kecleon. All the evidence seems to suggest that in order to catch Kecleon or get it to appear before you, you will need to do some AR related stuff, and I really do think Niantic is setting up for that. And let me be clear, there are a lot of cool things that Niantic could do for Pokemon Go that involve AR. They just need to sell us on it by actually having those cool things be something that we really want. And of course, it's all going to come down to the game design as well, because yes, the coolest things may not necessarily be the funnest things, and there's a lot of things that players are driven to do in Pokemon Go that have no relation to AR at all, so they really need to integrate some of these new AR features into what players are actually enjoying with this game. I think there was some potential for that with the AR Plus mechanics, like back in the day when that was first released. It had a lot of potential to make legendary catches easier, and some players were dabbling with that. I really wish Niantic built upon this, because it would have created some interesting gameplay for sure. But instead of building upon that, they're looking for new things and new features with AR that I just don't think a lot of players will be interested in. But anyway, these are just my thoughts and opinions regarding this whole thing. I really want to know what you think about the new Pokéstop features, as well as with AR mapping as a whole. Leave your thoughts down below, let's have a great discussion. And if it's your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and don't forget that little bell as well. And yeah, I am Count Jinsula. That's going to be it for this video. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I will catch you all later.